Yo, what's happening out there, guys? How you doing? And welcome back to Rule of Two Review. Today, let's talk a little bit about the price of the Nintendo Switch. So it's no surprise that over the last couple of days, a rumor came out that's apparently coming from Toys R Us in Canada that there is a price that they have listed in an advertisement for the Nintendo Switch. And I gotta tell you, that came really, really fast because it was only a couple of weeks ago that Nintendo finally showed us the thing in the now famous preview trailer that everyone's seen 200 million times. And they very quickly came out and said, hey, January 12th, another couple months from now, is when we're actually going to give you the final information, such as the price. And here we go. It's only been a month, and already there's a rumor from an advertisement, which may or may not be fake, telling us how much this thing might be. So, of course, this is one of those things that are not confirmed, but, you know, just like I said in a video recently, just because Nintendo has finally revealed the NX to be the Nintendo Switch, doesn't mean we're not still going to get a bunch of rumors and theories, and I've talked about a couple already since the reveal of the Switch. Many people have done that same thing. And it's just a crazy, wacky time that we live in, and it's just what Nintendo does, man. They manage to make this stuff, this rumor mill, just keep turning and turning, man, and it's nuts. But you know what? It's a lot of fun. So we're talking about an advertisement that, like I said, may or may not be real, from Toys R Us in Canada that has a price listing for the Nintendo Switch, and that is in the range of 340, I think maybe even 344 Canadian dollars. I can't remember exactly what the dollar amount was, but it's that range, 340 or some odd Canadian dollars. Now that translates to around $250 US. So that is a pretty interesting little window into what might be going on. And that's kind of what I was going to discuss with you guys, is whether or not this is real, whether or not this makes sense, and if the price actually is a good price for the Switch. And of course, it's not even set in stone that if this were true, if this advertisement were real, and there really is a price for the Switch for 340 some odd dollars Canadian, that means that the exact dollar translation in the United States is what it's going to be. It's entirely possible that Nintendo still prices the Switch in the United States a little bit differently, just like they might in the UK, Australia, Japan, and so on. Because I think all companies, Nintendo included, have done that with their consoles in their past, where it's not like a one-to-one dollar ratio based on what the actual currency exchange is going from one country to another. They haven't necessarily done that where they've set one base price. I really think that what these companies do and what Nintendo might do is say, what's the value of the Switch in the United States? Okay, that's what it's going to be. What is it in Canada? What is it in the UK? What is it in Japan? And they might just set it, and they might, you know, kind of reflect what the prices are going from country to country, but it's not necessarily going to be a one-to-one. But that doesn't mean it also wouldn't be a one-to-one. So if this is true, and this advertisement is real, and the price in Canada is exactly what this advertisement is saying, it is still possible that based on the currency exchange from the Canadian dollar to the United States dollar, that it still might be as low as $250 for the Switch. That's really exciting. You know, I've talked about the price of the thing a couple of times already. Everyone's talked about the price of the Switch and what it might actually be and what it should be, what is too much, what is just enough. And, you know, the magic number that everyone seems to be settling on is $299 US dollars. And I agree with that. I think that seems fair. It seems likely. I feel like it's a perfect sort of middle ground range for Nintendo to shoot for. What's interesting, and I brought this up recently as well, is Kimishima stated after they revealed the January 12th date for the reveal event, he stated that they have yet to set a price. They refuse to sell it at a loss, just like all previous Nintendo consoles. Nintendo will not sell their hardware at a loss. But he did say that we are paying attention to and listening to the community on what price range we should be shooting for. And I thought that was really excellent news to hear. I think that that statement was actually understated and underappreciated within the community of, you know, the news websites and YouTubers and stuff like that. Because to me, it shows that they're listening, they're paying attention to us. How much weight they put on what we say, that's hard to actually predict. Who knows how much they actually care. But I think it was still very interesting and very cool of him to say that Nintendo is willing to consider, well, people are expecting this price and they're looking at this price. And they're saying right now, with the limited information people have about it, that they think the Switch is worthy of a $250 or $300 price point. Blah, there you go. And what that could mean is, whereas normally they might be willing to sell the thing for as much as $350 or $400, if they see people are saying that they expect a $299 price and that $299 price is still profitable for Nintendo, they're not taking a loss at that price, then I think it means that they might say, hey, that's probably what we should sell it at. We're still not going to sell it for a loss at $299. It's what people are expecting. It's what people are saying they're willing to pay, because that's the reason they want to listen to all of us talk about the price of the Switch, is what are we willing to pay? If, 75% of people say, I will not buy a Switch at $400, they really don't want to make that thing $400. But if 75% of people say they will buy it at $300, and if $300 isn't a loss, like I said, I'm willing to bet that Nintendo's going to listen and at least put it around that price. Maybe a little bit more, maybe not. But according to this advertisement in Canada, they say potentially $250 US. Now, I've said $299, that $300 price point, is a perfect price to shoot for. It puts it on par with the base PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, maybe the One S. How much is the One S, you guys? Is that $350 or $300? Either way, it's that $300 for the Switch is right in range with what models from both Sony and Microsoft are selling. And those are great machines. People are obviously willing to buy those machines like crazy at $300, $300 and $350. So a brand new Nintendo console that looks super appealing, doing something we've never seen before for the same price as those consoles, I think that that's a very successful price point, $299. I'm hoping that that's what it is. Now, if they actually make this thing $250, we're in really exciting territory. Because if most people are willing to pay $300, which they have said, $250 is undercutting that by $50. You're cheaper than the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 models available, and you're really becoming appealing to people. So we can really cross our fingers and hope that that becomes true. The other reason I like $250 plays into my other theory and strategy that I've discussed recently, and that's that this may sound crazy and wacky to people and counterintuitive to how gamers want to buy stuff, but I feel like going too cheap is actually a little bit dangerous. And the reason is, reiterating a point that I said before, the reason is I feel like if you start to go too cheap with new hardware, and especially coming from Nintendo, who notoriously makes less powerful hardware than the competition, I feel like coming in too cheap, like $199 or less, as great as that sounds for our wallets, you start to maybe tell people that what you've made is more of a toy and less of a high-tech next-generation video game console. It's a weird, dumb truth that the less expensive it is, well, the less powerful the machine must be, the less impressive technology must be inside of the Switch if they can sell it for $150 or $200. How powerful can it be? If the PS4 Pro, which is the best thing on the market right now, sells for $400, and the Switch sells for half of that, well, does that mean it's half as powerful as a PS4 Pro? And honestly, people don't want that. I could deal with a Switch with whatever power level. If it can play the things I want and I get Nintendo games out of it, I'll be happy. But when you look at it being more successful for the larger market, you need it to be powerful enough to satiate what people are looking for out of their next generation gaming machines. And Nintendo really needs to make a sizable jump in power over the Wii U because the Wii U sadly was not successful. So they need to tell people, hey, we're serious players in this game market again. We're serious players, competitors looking for these third-party companies to make their games viable on our platform, and you can't make a cheap underpowered machine to do so, which is why I think the Switch won't be significantly underpowered. Maybe a little bit, but not significantly like the Wii U was. Which then means that they can't possibly be making this machine with that super crazy tablet controller only $199. Because if they did, that would tell me that the Switch is woefully underpowered. Not a little bit, not almost on par with the Xbox One or PS4, but woefully underpowered. And I don't see Nintendo doing that. It's not impossible, but I don't see them doing that, which is why $199 to me is too cheap. I don't want the thing to be $199. If Nintendo came out tomorrow and said the Switch is $199, I think people would be really excited about that. But in my brain, I'm like, you guys aren't thinking straight. A $199 Switch is a really underpowered toy. That is a toy. It is not a next generation Nintendo machine. Now, $300 to me gets me excited because it's cheap, it's affordable, but just enough to tell me it could be as powerful as an Xbox One or PS4, because that's what those machines sell for. $250, the reason I still like $250 is because it's obvious. It's right in between the perfect price point and the too cheap to be awesome price point. We don't want it to be too cheap to be awesome. We want it to be awesome. And to me, $300 is an awesome machine. $250 is an awesome machine sold at a super aggressive price that says we want this thing to be a smash hit. So we can only hope that there's some truth to this Canadian advertisement, that $250, $270, $300 is the price range that Nintendo's shooting for in the United States for the Switch, which means it's going to be similarly competitive in the UK and Japan and Australia and all these different territories. So it basically, all in all, this long-winded video is about saying that that's a great price. That's a great thing to see. It gives me hope. It's not fact. It could be doctored. It could be Photoshop. It could be faked. It could be someone playing a trick or a prank. We all know people are willing to go far enough to 3D print fake, stupid controllers. I think people would go far enough to Photoshop an advertisement in Canada, Toys R Us, to trick people into thinking that the Switch might be this price when really Nintendo doesn't even know yet. So it'll be interesting to see, but, you know, it's not like this rumor doesn't have some possibility of being true, and if it's true, it gives me a lot of hope. It shows me that they're not going to sell this thing so cheap that it's going to be just a toy and just something that can't compete with the Xbox One or PlayStation 4, and it shows me that potentially Nintendo is going to play it really aggressively with their price, which will only help them and help this thing be successful, sell millions, get Nintendo back on track on the home console market, and just give us all the games, the good Nintendo games that we actually want to be playing and are really excited for. So very interesting stuff. A lot of fun. I really like this rumor. You know, it is just a rumor. So if it turns out not to be true, that is what it is. Luckily, Nintendo will be the ones giving us the official goods in just 2 months' time, and I can't freaking wait. So what do you guys think about this? What do you think about the rumor, the advertisement, the prices being suggested both in Canada for all my Canadian friends and viewers, and here in the United States for all of you guys, and even around the world? What do you think this means for the price in your area? What do you think Nintendo will end up selling this thing at? Is there truth to this Canadian advertisement? So that's what's going on about the Nintendo Switch, guys. Thanks, of course, so much as always for tuning in. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I will catch you guys next time on another video.